Many of you have ever been to a concert. Well, according to a journal called Popular Music and Society, concert revenues have more than doubled, from 1.3 billion to 3.1 billion in less than 10 years starting in the 1990s. Kevin Lyman is one of the most successful festival producers in the music industry. In this speech, I will tell you about Kevin Lyman's early life, how he founded one of the most popular annual music festivals, and how all of this helps the business of the music industry. Well, first of all, Kevin Lyman was born in 1961. Kevin Lyman had an interesting early life, and ever since he was young, he was always involved in the music scene. Growing up in Los Angeles, there was always music everywhere, and he could even hear it from his house. In an article called The Warrior of Warped, he talked about his first concert, which was Van Morrison. He also goes on and explains how clearly he remembers everything. Lyman says, "You don't remember the first class you took in high school, but you'll remember your first concert, because it's that emotional." As you can tell by this quote, live music was always a big part of Kevin's life, which is probably why he ended up where he is now. Kevin Lyman is most known for his work in the music industry as a festival producer. His career in the music business started while he was attending college at California Polytechnic State University in Pomona. He first began booking small bands to play at his university. He also helped a lot of bands that were unknown at the time on tour, such as Bad Religion and The Untouchables. Soon after he started booking bands as a hobby, he joined the ski team and started getting bands to play at their parties, which eventually got them to be one of the most popular organizations on campus. In an article written by Michael Yoder, you'll learn that in 1991, he became a main stage manager for one of the biggest musical festivals of all time, Lollapalooza. However, the most significant thing that he has done, the first thing that would pop up if you were to search for him on Google, is the start of the Vans Warped Tour. The annual Vans Warped Tour happens every summer. For about 3 months straight, an average of 100 bands across the country together, playing on 10 stages, usually set up in open parking lots. Lyman hosted the first Warped Tour in 1994, and since then it has helped launch big-name artists and bands like Green Day, Eminem, the Black Eyed Peas, Katy Perry, Blink-182, and so many more. According to an article written by Ray Waddell, last year's Warped Tour grossed $23.1 million from about 520,000 tickets sold, and that number is only going up every year. And then in 2013, Kevin Lyman was awarded the Billboard Hauler of the Decade in the Shell Rotella Hall of Fame for Warped Tour. Although being a festival producer is the biggest accomplishment up to date, that's not all Lyman does. He hosts other smaller shows such as Mayhem Festival and other random tours. He also does a lot of charity work and gives back as much as he can. One of the biggest fundraisers he hosts involves letting Warped Tour attendees skip the line if they bring 5 cans of non-perishable foods to the front the day of the show. So besides making kids' dreams come true by allowing them to see their favorite bands live, what do all these concerts do for the music industry? Well, concerts and festivals like the ones Lyman runs are beneficial not only to him, but to everyone involved. If you've ever been to a festival, you probably know how they work. Many different kinds of bands and artists play the same show, which gives all the people there many opportunities to get into new music and support new bands. Many of these bands also bring along their merchandise on tour, which is good for sales, benefiting both the bands and their record labels. Also, Warped Tour is very big on sponsorships. As you probably know, their main sponsor is Vans, which is why it's called the Vans Warped Tour. Many of the stages of the tour are named after other sponsors, such as the Kia main stages, named after the car brand, and the Ernie Ball stage, named after Ernie Ball guitar strings. So, in conclusion, the music industry is probably one of the most interesting and rapidly growing businesses around today. Now, you know about the life, career, and influence of one of the biggest names in the music industry, so it shouldn't come as much of a surprise when you hear him being called the grandfather of the underground music scene. So, I'll leave you with a quote by Kevin Lyman himself. "Learn to live and die by your decisions."